Hi, my name is Matt Premo with Findorff Construction. I want to thank you for attending the Hard Hats for Hearts event tonight. I really wish I could be there in person, but in lieu of that, I'd like to tell you about my story. Well, actually, the scary part for my story is that I didn't have any symptoms, and I randomly went into for a check-in for just a regular physical. So it really started in the fall of 2019. We had our first son who had a tough start of it, and so he went through a lot of medical pieces. And so I said, well, I haven't been to a doctor in 3 or 4 years. I don't think anything's going on. And I said, well, let's go get a physical. And so I went in for a physical, and in that physical, everything went really well. And I was about to head out, and the doctor said, oh, hey, I didn't even listen to your heart. And we sat down and talked through everything, and they kind of threw the news to me that I had a bicuspid aortic valve. I was born with it, so it wasn't something that really I did to myself other than being born with it. It's about 13% chance in people that they have a bicuspid or aortic valve, and mine went bad. Went bad a little earlier. They said usually you see this in 65 to 70-year-olds, and I'm 42, actually 43. And so from there, it was kind of a big surprise because I have actually never had a surgery in my life. Didn't have any kind of broken bones. So I went from no surgeries to having open heart surgery. So I went in February of 2020, early 2020, and I had the surgery. It had a good recovery. They put in a mechanical valve replacement, which they felt with how young I was the best option for me for longevity of the heart. And since then, I've been, it's been a year or so past that. I've been in recovery, but it went off without a hitch. So I'm very thankful for the great medical treatment and the things that we have here in Dane County. It's just amazing the kind of care that we have with the 3 hospitals here. The doctors told me that, sometimes people don't even know they have it because it doesn't go bad. Of course, for me, unfortunately, it did go bad a little earlier in life. So I felt like I was actually in very good shape. I was doing Orange Theory, 2 or 3 times a week. And so I was running on a treadmill. I didn't feel like I had any issues with that. So it was a surprise. Definitely when they came and told me that I had an issue with it. With a mechanical valve, I have to be on blood thinners for the rest of my life until maybe there's another breakthrough. But that's the biggest change is that I'm taking daily pills that will thin my blood. With a mechanical valve, you need to do that to allow the blood to flow through it easier. Getting your regular checkups is key. Preventive care, it's the only way that I was able to find it. I was one of those guys that, hey, if I'm not feeling bad, I don't go in. But I think there's something to be said to say, get your regular checkups, your physicals, because they can detect it early enough, and that's what they did with me. I could have gone maybe a year or 2 years without any symptoms, but I also could have just been walking down the sidewalk, they said, and dropped. Yeah, I've been involved in the American Heart Association for a while now with our company, and it's been something that's core line, especially with the recent pieces that I've had with going in, having a heart surgery, knowing that there's preventive care of getting in there. I just felt it was a good fit for me, especially with being in the construction industry. Hard hats kind of spoke to me a little bit more, where not only can I have an influence on, having an event, raising money for the Heart Association, but I can also, with the fellow men and women that we work with every day in the construction industry, help them make sure that they're getting the right treatment. If they're having issues, be able to talk through that, but maybe get out the word to go see your doctor and do the annual checkups to help avert major issues later on. Well, thank you again for attending tonight. I want to say a special thank you to my fellow hard hats out there making this event happen. It's for a great cause, and I hope to see you next year.